Welcome back to God's Economy, where together we're learning to live beyond the world's systems. I'm your host, NIEMI. Today we're talking about marriage and leadership in the home. We're back. We're talking about marriage and leadership in the home. If you're married, this is a big deal. If you're not married, this is something to consider for sure. The world tells us that marriage is like a 50-50 deal. They have their part, you have your part. Leadership is out of people's control, and submission is outdated. It's like this is not biblical. Marriage is definitely not a 50-50 partnership. It's 100 each. Each person has to bring their 100 to the table, and you can't really control the other person. I think this is the challenge that we're in today's day and age, is that people can come up with their own ideas for what they think a good marriage is, and if you're not on the same page and you grow together, you definitely can drift apart. So, but like anything, I tell people you get out of it what you put into it. And when we talk about I'm talking to men again, what we focus on, most of the time we're not working on our marriage. Most of the time we're letting the marriage happen. We're working on our work. We're so busy with work and the kids and whatever's going on that we're not actually investing time in relationship. And then what happens is you have kids get out of the house, they end up getting divorced because they don't like each other. They haven't done life with each other in a long time. So this is something that we can avoid. So in God's economy, the truth biblically tells us leadership is sacrifice. It's servant leadership. Love your wife like Christ loved the church. Love your wife like Christ loved the church. Completely unconditionally and selflessly. As a man, if you're capable, and I'm sure that you are, you can get yours and you can get full for whatever you need. It has nothing to do with her. But in God's economy, it means that you get home and you're like, I want to talk to my wife about my day. And then God might tell you, no, go ask her about her day. And you're like, well, I don't want to ask her about her day. I need to tell her some things. But what you don't realize is that when you go in and you ask her how her day is, and you're actively listening, which I have definitely struggled with over the years, when you're actively listening, her heart is full. She's full. And then your needs are going to get met by meeting her needs first. But what happens is when you asked her about her day, and she told you everything and you listened, then she'll ask you about your day. That's how it's meant to be. Again, I always back this up with scripture. The first scripture I want to talk to you about is Ephesians 5:25 that says, husbands, love your wife just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So if Christ gave himself up for her, the church, then we as men, as leaders in our home, can give ourselves up for our wife. That's a biblical principle. It's something that we can, one, be aware of, and two, make a choice to try to do it, and three, we're not going to do it right when we first try. So don't pretend like everything's going to go well and we know what we're doing. This is practice. We don't have to have it perfect, but it's a heart condition, okay? It's a heart condition. 1 Corinthians 13:4 says, love is patient, love is kind. What does love look like when you're interacting with your wife? And I'm not talking about the bedroom. What does it look like? When you're not doing love, what does that look like? Try to minimize what it doesn't look like and do more of what it does. See how your life turns around. By the way, this is not a happy wife, happy life thing. I don't believe in that. We should all be content. We should all get our needs met. But what I'm saying is that even though we're the head of the household, the wife's the neck, even though we're the head of the household, we're still servant leaders. We're servant leaders to our God, our wife, our kids if we have kids, our employees if we have a company, and our friends. And we should serve. This is what love is, okay? 1 Peter 3:7 says, husbands, be considerate as you live with your wives and treat them with respect. So God tells me, Rick, I'm going to treat you as well as you treat Hilda. I'm like, oh man, I'm done, dude. I'm done. I'm in trouble because, that's serious accountability from the Lord himself. Like, if I'm going to be treated as well as I treat my wife, I'm definitely convicted and need to do better. So we need to think about this. So this is, again, time to take a time out, sit down, quiet moment, reflect, make some notes. Here's what I'm good at. Here's what I struggle with. And whatever we struggle with, just be intentional. The first step in all of this is awareness. The second step after awareness is follow through. Okay? So be aware, follow through, and have your plan, okay? Have your plan. You can do this. Joshua 24:15 says, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So if it's as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. One of the ways we serve the Lord is by loving our wife, because that's what He just told us to do. In Ephesians 5:25, when He says, "Husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church, and He gave Himself up for her." Genesis 2:24 says, "A man shall leave his father and mother and be united with his wife." This is a big deal. I mean, we have kids. I'm thinking about myself. When me and Hilda got connected, we were one. We were one family. It's not that we're not going to have connection with our parents anymore, but the family unit, it comes first. There should not be friction. There should not be friction between the in-laws, the mother-in-laws and the father-in-laws and the parents. There should not be friction. The family unit is you. It's you and your wife. That's who comes first. And that goes for a man or a woman in the relationship, that the other person's parents don't end up dominating or taking over the relationship. That's where we see a lot of issues, obviously, a lot of times. And there's challenges with that. I'm not going to say there's not. We have challenges with that, but we get through it. But we choose each other first. And that's the most important thing, that we choose each other first. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12 says, "Two are better than one. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken." So here's what I'm going to tell you. 2 is better than 1. A cord of 3 strands is not broken easily. Who or what is the third strand? If there's you and your wife, what is the third strand? And of course, it's the Lord Himself. It's the Lord Himself. If the Lord is stranded in with you and your wife together, and the Lord is at the center of everything you do, and God is at the center, and we're seeking Him for wisdom and direction on how to be a better husband, He's going to give you thoughts. He's going to give you intuition. And what it really boils down to, if we think about what love is and what love isn't, love is consideration. If you want to love your wife, find out what her love languages are. It's not the same as yours. I mean, I could go straight to 2 things: physical touch and affirmation. Physical touch and words of affirmation. That's not her love language, probably. It's probably not. It's probably acts of service. It's probably quality time. Who knows what it is? But you find out, though. Fill her cup in a way that she'll be overflowing and she won't have any needs. And I'm not talking about financial needs. I'm not talking about expensive gifts. If your wife's love language is gifts, hopefully it doesn't mean you have to buy her an expensive gift every week. For my wife, one of her love languages is definitely gifts. And it's not the amount. It's just the thought and the consideration that I was thinking of her. The fact that I was thinking of her gets her excited. The fact that I was thinking of her fills her cup. It tells her that she's on my mind and that she's important to me. So, talked a lot about marriage. As far as leadership in the home, a man is supposed to be the head of the household. A man sets the tone. The man sets the tone for how the house runs. Like any business, it's no different. What's the culture of the house? What is the setup for success for the family unit, starting with the wife, okay? So when you have a wife and you make her a priority in your life, God will basically set the table for you to experience goodness, grace, mercy, favor, blessing, and you're going to get your needs met. But I always tell people, especially men, if you're a capable man, you don't need any help getting what you need. And in a day and age where anybody can get almost anything they want pretty quickly, why do I need to pour into somebody else? But I will tell you that God honors us with anything and everything that we honor Him with. And that includes our marriage. I'm not just talking about money. You want a better marriage? Honor God with your marriage. You want a better bank account? Honor God with your money. You want better results for your business? Honor God with your business. You want better friendships? Honor God in your friendships. What does honoring God mean? It's consideration. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm not even going to God. You're not considering God in the process. Where does God, if you're a believer, where does God fit in with your decision making? Where does God fit in with your thoughts, your words, your actions? Where does He fit in? It should all, this is where somebody, when I was growing up, they'd be, oh, they're a fanatic. No, it's not that they're a fanatic. There's people out there that are definitely not representing Christ in a way or a godly a situation or just a Christian in general. Definitely, there's always people like that. But if you were to honor God and it looked the way he wanted it to look like, what would you be doing? What would you be saying? How would you be honoring him? What choices would you make? And that's really what I'm telling you. So we've also talked about awareness today. With awareness, we can make a choice. And with a choice, we can create a plan. And that plan we can follow through. And if we honor our wives in ways that the Lord tells us to, we are going to get our needs met. And he's going to bless us in areas that we can tangibly say, that's a direct result of God's favor in my life because I did the right things. So as Christ loved the church, so we're supposed to love our wife. I think this is something that takes practice. It takes intentionality. And there's definitely a benefit, a blessing that comes from it. And I hope you try it. So my encouragement to you today and my challenge to you now is that take a quiet moment, sit down, think about some things you want to do differently, how you're going to love your wife in a new and different way, and just give it 2 weeks and see how she responds. I guarantee you, it'll change everything. Until the next time. Thank you for joining me on another episode of God's Economy. I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions and comments. Drop them in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel and follow me on my other platforms.